Got to get your NPR voice on.
I don't have that. I don't have that. You have the sexy cowboy voice. I don't
What?
understand.
Welcome to Maker's Hustle, the podcast about turning your passion into a profession. This is episode 4 for Monday, August 1st, 2016. I'm your host, Bill Lavolsi. With me, as always, are Amy Davis-Roth. Hi, Amy.
Hey, guys.
And Jeffrey Moore. Hi, Jeff.
Hello, hello, hello. How you doing?
Doing pretty well.
I'm gonna have a new hello every time.
That was way
Every
better.
time I'm gonna find the perfect hello, and that's gonna be the thing I use for the rest of our time doing it.
Well, that beat howdy, folks. I'll tell you that.
That was terrible.
So, real quick, if you want to support the show, we are on Patreon. You can check us out at patreon.com/makershustle. But before we get into this week's topic, let's talk about what everybody's working on this week. Amy, I think you went first last week, so Jeff, what are you working on?
Actually, I think I went first last week, but it's okay. I'll go first again.
Well,
Always
no,
a
then
pleasure.
it's not your turn. Amy, go first.
Yeah, it's my turn. I don't know. Who knows? No, I've been painting a whole bunch of geek-themed jewelry and making a lot of science stuff and painting bacteria. And what else have I been doing? I've been drawing a lot of stuff because I have for sure confirmed that I'm going to be at Geek Girl Con in October in Seattle, and I'm super excited about that event. I don't know if any of you listening have ever gone to it, but it's a sci-fi convention that celebrates the female geek. So it's like a great venue for me, obviously, since I make jewelry. So there's all these super cool women that attend the event and scientists, and they, love my stuff, and I love that event. It's so much fun. So if you're in Seattle in October 8th and 9th, so I think it's after Maker Faire, then come down, come say hi. It's a really fun event. So I'm getting ready for that right now.
I'm sorry, every time you say painting bacteria, I just picture you with a microscope and a really tiny brush.
I do use a really tiny brush. It's so tiny, but it's not quite that tiny. But I love drawing bacteria. It's one of the easiest things. Like, it's these really organic, natural shapes, and I don't know, they're just super cool, and you can paint them all different colors. And although technically in the lab they only use very specific colors because they sort of inject things with certain colors so that whether they have a cell wall or not, it shows up in a different hue. But I take a little artistic liberty when I do my necklaces, and I add a few colors here and there. But it's really fun. I love it. I love making science stuff, and I'm learning a lot about cells too.
I haven't learned about cells in years, boy.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with mitochondria right now. There's a strange supplement. What's it called? Nicotinamide ribosome, I think. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's a B3 vitamin. And there's a lot of research being done right now about how if you take this supplement, or if you're a mouse and you're given the supplement, it can actually turn back the clock. So a mouse that's 2 years old can be given the supplement and it will show signs of being a 6-month-old mouse. And so they think it's a potential for repairing cells, but they haven't done enough research on it yet for it to be able to be recommended by the FDA for human consumption. But you can take it as a supplement if you want. But I've been reading a lot about it, and they're starting studies in China right now with people who are like in their 80s to see if this supplement can actually repair damage to DNA and help cells function better. So it actually feeds into the mitochondria so you have more energy, and it's something that naturally diminishes as you age. And so it would be a natural supplement to sort of give back that wouldn't really have any side effects or anything. And don't rush out and buy this stuff because I'm saying this. There's still a ton of research to be done, but it's really fascinating. And so I've been learning a lot about that too.
That's pretty awesome.
New every day. You know what? I think I'm going to have to start going first because I feel like when Amy does it, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great. Awesome. I'm learning stuff. And then when I say what I'm working on, I'm making robots.
That's great, though.
Yeah, but it's not as cool. I'm not teaching anybody anything yet. Oh, you know what? Oh, I do. So I actually, see, you made me think about it. I completely forgot about this. But one of the things I did, probably the biggest thing that I've done this week is I went into a school and I was teaching 2nd and 3rd graders about robotics. And I was getting them to do that. And then also we talked a lot about, what they wanted to be when they grow up. So That was kind of cool. That was the highlight of my week. Now that I think about that, and then other than that, it's the usual. Working on the robots, working on the business plan with my business partner, and that's it for me this week. It was a slow week, very slow week.
It was a very big week for women, though. Did any of those kids in that class say when they grow up they want to be president? And were any of those little girls? Because that is now a possibility.
No, but I will say in, I believe it was my third grade, the second grade class, second graders, they want to make robots. And that's just because that's what they saw. That's what I brought in. So all of them were like, oh, I want to make robots. But the third graders, it's very interesting. I had a lot of teachers. I had a lot of kids talk about engineers. I had one kid say that he wanted to be a police officer and he wanted to be a robot builder. That's what they call it. I had one kid that said engineer, and then the rest of them say robot builder. I want to be a robot builder.
That could actually be a job when you think about it, because the police are using robots now to go into dangerous situations.
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah. It was I really enjoy doing it. Especially because at their age, getting exposed to these type of things is, when I was their age, it was just something that I saw on TV. So to bring robots into the classroom and let them, control them and engage with them and see that they're real, it's powerful stuff. So, that was the highlight of my week. How about you, Bill? What you got going on?
This week, I did a lot of prep for client work. So I spent a lot of time down in the workshop, which is now cool enough to work in, which is nice. Because I got that new table saw, I needed a new outfeed table, so I had to finish up everything that I had on the bench because I did not allow myself to just push everything off to the side and make more of a mess. I had to actually finish what was on the bench, get it to where it needed to be, and then I could take the bench apart. So I took the bench apart, I cleaned out the shop, I used the pieces of the old bench to build a new one because I don't like throwing stuff away.
Very economical of you.
And then I've been making plans to attend World Maker Faire in New York, October 1st and 2nd.
All right.
Yeah, and there's a possibility that the three of us will all be there.
Maybe. We're all waiting on Bust Magazine to let me know if I've been accepted this year, so I'm waiting. And there's a chance that I won't get accepted, and I was just telling this to the guys before we started recording. It's really hard when you're a jewelry maker because so many people make jewelry, primarily women. There's a lot of women out there making jewelry, and so it's a really competitive marketplace for handmade items. So I often get rejected from different events that I apply to simply because they've already got too many jewelry makers. So it's something that I've gotten kind of accustomed to. But I have done 3 different Bust Magazine events, and I really love them, and I hope they love me. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get an acceptance note anytime now, and I'll be in the Craftacular section, hopefully. So I'll let you guys know.
If Amy gets her acceptance note before next week's episode, we'll put a notice about that on our website. Because if we're all there, you can come say hi. We'll probably try to do something special while we're all in the same, physical space. That would be kind of fun.
We're going to wrestle.
Thumb wrestle.
We're going to wrestle. The winner makes build them a fire pit. That's my goal. I basically decided that Bill is going to lose no matter what.
I'll just build you the fire pit. You don't have to beat me up first.
He's so nice. He's like, I'll just do it anyway.
I like my thumbs.
Yeah. But while I'm in New York for World Maker Faire, I'm actually going to be spending about a week in New York because I need to spend time with Jimmy DiResta so we can work on this book together. I'm essentially going to shadow him for a few days. I'm going to attend one of his classes at the School of Visual Arts. I'm going to see what it's like in his workshop when the cameras aren't running. I'm going to try to get upstate. He has a large property in upstate New York where he's planning on building this collaborative makerspace /salon in the sense of sit around and have discussions, not salon in the sense of do your hair.
Where in upstate New York? Do you know what area?
I don't know. I know that it's I think it's up near Albany.
Cool.
Oh.
So it's a bit of a haul.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to this week.
Nice.
So we have a few updates. First of all, over 1,000 people have listened to our show, so thank you.
What?
Yeah, we've had over 1,000 listens. It might be the same, 5 people listening a bunch of times, But I'm just going to go ahead and say our show has been listened to over 1,000 times. I don't know if they were all the same person or not, but thank you so much.
Either way, and if it's just like 5 people listening to us that many times,
they really like it.
Then thank you so much for listening. You're awesome.
And it might have been me listening to it about 6 times. But don't tell anybody.
Jeff is like really into himself, you guys.
Yeah. He's kind of a big deal.
Who is this guy? I really need to meet this guy.
I need to know more about Jeff.
I need to learn about this guy.
We also got a note from Jeremy Crawford. Jeremy says that episode 2, for some reason, is not showing up correctly in iTunes unless you subscribe. So if you are looking at our podcast in iTunes and it says episode 1 and then episode 3, that's okay. That's normal. We don't know why that is. I will try to get it fixed. I just found out about it about 5 minutes before we started the show. In the meantime, if you don't want to use iTunes or you just don't want to put up with whatever bugginess is going on over there, we are also on Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and we have an RSS feed on the website. So you can check any of those.
That's makershustlepodcast.com.
That's makershustlepodcast.com. Thank you, Amy.
Makershustlepodcast.com, ladies and gentlemen.
Jeff, I saw you lean in for the sexy voice there.
I tried. I really did. I went for it.
Well played, my friend. Well played.
So let's see. This week, we are talking about social media and marketing.
Oh, yeah.
As everybody finds out once they start doing it, working for yourself means you get to wear a lot of hats. Not only do you make your product, you're also the shipping department, customer service, the entire marketing team. So how do you market yourself and your business effectively without sounding like a corporate drone? Is it true that all publicity is good publicity, and how can you get people to care about what you're doing?
It's a lot of questions, Bill.
I'm about to say, we're going to have to pick this apart.
It's a lot of
questions. The answer is yes, though.
The answer is 7. Which is almost how many numbers I have on my list that I brought today.
Amy's list,
hooray! Amy's list. You know what? That I think needs to be its own section. Amy's list.
Amy's list.
All right,
did Amy
Amy
make notes? Yes, yeah. Amy did. Okay, number 1, to get us started, my advice on social media. I don't even remember what your questions were, so I'm just going to ignore them. Something about something and
you never listen
hats,
to me anyway.
Party hats? I don't know. Cowboy hats. Some sort of hat. My number 1 advice for social media is to pick a simple name and use it everywhere that you can. So when I first started my business, I chose surly-ramics, and it's SURLY with a slash and then ramics. And that was a big mistake because that's hard to explain to people. So everywhere on social media, I am just Surly Amy or just Surly, because that way you can find me anywhere. So if you search for Surly Amy, I'm going to pop up on Instagram, Twitter, probably Tumblr, like all kinds of different places you can find me just under Surly Amy. And also on my Etsy store, when I set that up, I used just the word Surly. So my shop is called Surly, and it's very easy to find. So one of my tips and tricks is keep it simple, whatever name that you're using, so that you don't have to spell it when you're on a podcast.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to spell Surly. Can you spell that for me?
S like Sam. U-R-L-Y. Spell it back. There's going to be a quiz later.
S-U. I'm happy you spelled it out, though, because I was definitely putting the E in there.
Really? That would be Shirley. Like, surely you must be joking that you can't spell Surly.
L-E-Y.
Oh,
like when I first started looking for you, I was like, S-U-R-L-E-Y. That's got to be the way to spell it.
Oh, my
God. But it
God.
wasn't. So then I learned quickly.
Jeff.
But very good. Very good tips.
That's very good advice, because I don't know if you noticed, but my last name is not the easiest thing in the world to spell or pronounce. People have been getting it wrong my entire life. So when I started my channel and my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, I had to find another name. So I went with One Car Workshop, which is a lot easier to say. It's a lot easier to explain. I don't have to spell anything.
Yeah.
There it is, One Car Workshop.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's a lot easier than having to spell Lavolsi for people every single time.
Yeah, you want to try to stay away from _.net, .biz, anything weird like that.
Jeff, you've got like 5 businesses going. What do you think?
About the names, or are you asking me the question? Because I
think right now we're talking about names. So
so names, yes, absolutely are important. And like you said, no underscores, stuff like that. It makes it very difficult to find you on anything. Even though my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter name are more underscore 4. So I wish you would have gave me that advice a couple years ago when I started.
Oh, man.
But you know what happened? Oh, so this is what happened. First, I had more 4, and then I deleted it. I didn't delete it, but I forgot the password to the account. So then the more 4 was taken, so I had to start over again with the more underscore 4, even though I was more 4.
Hey, you should see if the real more 4 is available, because that would be good.
No, yeah, absolutely. But as far as names go, no, the name is absolutely important for marketing purposes. Only because Google is the number one way that people find you. And if it's not easy to identify you, or even just think about how many things you were looking for, and like if it's a name of a song or whatever, you just typed it into Google and Google will spit something back to you. If it's not what they thought it was, and whatever they thought it was, they put it into Google, they're not going to find you. So names are probably the most important part when it comes from a marketing perspective.
And if you're turning what you're doing into a business, I don't know if we talked about this at all last week or not, but you need to register your business name with the state that you live in. So that's something to keep in mind. You might actually want to do that first before you set up all your social media stuff, unless you've already done that. If you've already done your social media under your name or whatever, that's fine too. But if you want to start a business and you want to call it something other than who you are, well, even if you want to call it who you are, you still have to register a business name and get a DBA, which is a doing business as license, so that you can then pay taxes and do all that fun stuff. So when you do that, when you have to file for a business name, you do this like database search to see if the name has been taken already. And that's something that you can do online usually. I'm not sure from state to state, but I know that you can do a search in California online. And then you have to jump through a couple hoops and do these weird things where you have it published and you have to pay and blah, blah, blah. But then you own that name. Then you have a DBA. And it's sort of best to sort of keep everything the same if you can. So I'm Amy Davis Roth, doing business as Surly-ramics.
Absolutely. And I think coming from a business perspective, I think it's very important that you understand the ups and downs of the way that you set up your company. Because I actually have 2 corporations. Like, I'm incorporated in the state of Delaware. And don't ask me why I'm in Delaware, because my lawyer told me to. I did the research. I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I'm incorporated in 2 of my companies in Delaware. And that's different from a DBA. Right. And then you can also do a DBA. And this is why I say it's very important that you do your research, because you can also do a DBA and you can run the company and you can have that name, but somebody can also have your name trademarked for another type of company. So it's very important that when you think about your name, you do that deep dive research, not just the one Google search and think, okay, I can use this name, because you can set up a company and somebody have that exact word or phrase trademarked. Either it's the visual or it's the word itself, and you will be upset because now you're going to, when it comes down to who's going to change the name, that trademark overrules everything.
Yeah, I have my business name trademarked, and I also have a slogan trademarked. My slogan is art you can wear.
Nice.
There you go.
Trademark registered.
That's business management 101, people.
Which has nothing to do with social media really at all.
Well, let's get into that then.
But it is the premise.
So, tip number 2, or do you have something to say, Bill?
No, go ahead.
Tip number 2 on social media is pick what venue is best for you. What is your favorite? What you like the most? Everyone has favorites. Some people don't like Twitter. Some people don't like Facebook. Some people don't like Instagram. Some people love all of these things. Some people love Tumblr. It just depends on what works best for you, and pick your favorite and get your name on all of them though. Like, get registered on everything, but pick the one that you like the best and be diligent about updating that on a daily basis and staying in touch with your friends and your fans and your customer base through that one particular way of communicating. For some people, that might be an email list. But in terms of social media, I think it's best to find one venue that you really like and just be sure to update it regularly. Keep it live. Because I know for me, like, I'll unfollow people that don't regularly update because I'll feel like those accounts are dead and they're not really worth my time. When I could be following somebody else that's going to be there and listening. So for me, it's Twitter. I absolutely love Twitter, at surly-amy. I think I've said it every time on this podcast because I love Twitter. And that's where you can find me the most.
Yep. I will say it is super important. If you're going to be on a social media platform, don't just let your account go dead. If it's just sitting there and nothing's happening, it's better that it just not exist.
Yeah.
So if you don't like Twitter and you're not a Twitter person, I can understand the value of registering the name just so you have it, so somebody else doesn't take it, but then you have to use it. Because if it's just sitting there, someone's going to find you on Twitter and go, oh, this person never does anything.
I don't know. Because I have surly-ramics as a Twitter account that I never use. I use surly-amy constantly. That's my account. I'm verified on Twitter. I'm on there all the time. And I have surly-ramics just so the trolls can't steal that and use it against me.
Yeah.
But it does just sit there. But I get all the messages. So if someone tweets at surly-ramics, it comes to me and I get a notification and I can respond to the customer if I need to. But I don't think that's always true. I also think that you should register your name if you can, as a domain, and you don't have to put something online, but if you can get your name, you can have that protected as well.
Definitely get your name, because if you become successful, or they will try and sell it back to you.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I have a famous friend who was just having to go through this legal battle to get their website that was under their name that somebody else was running, and it was a really huge big deal for them to have to do that. So, yeah, I don't always agree with. I think that you should stay active at least on one particular account, and that's the account that you promote, and you can link that to auto post for you on Facebook and things like that. As long as you have a specific account that you keep active, I think that's great. But like I said, surly-ramics on Twitter, you can go. I don't think I've posted on there in 2 years, but I have it just to.
At least I don't feel as bad anymore.
I post on at surly-amy, and that's where everybody knows to follow me.
You're right.
Yeah, Jeff, you don't post anything anywhere.
I know you don't.
I post once in a while. I'm very active on Facebook, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Not on the business accounts, but I am on my personal Facebook. I'm an activist on my personal account, but it's only because I'm trying to start a revolution.
Yeah,
but that's not.
I love that.
Here.
I love that. I'm like that on Twitter, though. People sort of know me for being very political on Twitter, and also for promoting my jewelry. So it's twofold. I'm much more mellow on Facebook, and I just sort of post pictures of my dogs and maybe my jewelry. But on Twitter, I really say what I think. So I'm with you. Let's start a revolution.
Okay. What else are we doing? Are we going to go 3 through 7, or are we bouncing around?
I don't know. We can. I hate that I feel like I'm the only one talking.
Well, let's branch out a little bit.
No,
then.
we're all talking.
Give your voice a break. I know it's been really smoky there lately. I can hear it.
I know. It's been really smoky here, and I have asthma, and so it's really rough on my voice, and I use my voice. Before we were recording, I was trying to sing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow" to warm up my voice.
Oh.
It was horrible.
It's so smoky in Los Angeles that it is now smoky in Las Vegas.
I know.
The smoke has made it over the mountains, and it is now about 5 degrees hotter than it would otherwise be because of all the smoke hanging in the air.
Yeah, it's the same because I live in the San Fernando Valley, and it just coats the valley. Yeah. It's horrible.
So I don't know if we have any listeners who are firefighters or related to firefighters, but stay safe out there and good luck.
Thank you. I know. I was tweeting at the fire department, the Los Angeles Fire Department, the other day. They are working so hard. It's incredible. And as of day before yesterday, the fire was completely uncontained. Out of pure depression, I haven't looked to see how it's doing right now, but those guys and gals work so hard, and they deserve our respect. So yeah.
They do. So
absolutely.
Okay. One thing I want to, just let them know you appreciate them, and if anybody out there in the audience is involved in firefighting or related to anyone who is, thank you. We appreciate it. I mean, we might complain about the smoke, but that doesn't mean we're not thinking about you.
I know they're literally.
If anything,
right
it's a reminder that other people are out there trying to keep this contained. So, and that's been our sobering moment for the day. So let's get back to marketing.
All right.
Take good photos.
Back to marketing.
Tip number 3.
Yes, that one is important too, especially if you're selling a product. If you are selling a product, your photos need to be good. And I mean, this isn't something you need to be particularly good at business to understand. If you go try to sell something on eBay or try to get something on Craigslist, the thing with the best photos is going to get more money.
Yeah, and things that I've read, and it's so hard to find reliable data about social media on the internet, because there's so many self-help gurus out there that it's really difficult.
That's what I was waiting for. I'm
find
that.
reliable
This
data.
conversation.
A lot of this is anecdotal, and a lot of this is things that the Twitter ad accounts tell me when I run an ad or I promote a tweet or something like that. But they say that tweets with photos statistically do better, and same thing on Facebook. So that's something to consider.
So I think it's now that we're here, let's get into the nitty gritty of it, because I have been developing a model for marketing, and it's based on a lot of different things that I've kind of been doing with my businesses. And the first thing that I think is very important that, we put out there is you have to really go into this marketing thing with your eyes open. I know a lot of people who started businesses and tried to do the Facebook ad and the Twitter ad, and they put a lot of money into that, and the ROI is terrible. And it's not because Facebook and Twitter ad doesn't work. It's because they're not effective in utilizing it, or maybe what they're trying to use that Facebook and Twitter ad is not good. And I've seen people waste hundreds of dollars on that. So coming from exactly what you were talking about, the data, you'll see and the data is kind of funny, because you'll look at on Twitter, you make a post on Twitter, and let's say you have 2,000 followers, and they say you have 6,000 organic views, but you have 0 clicks. So that 6,000 organic views really does nothing for you. It really just means that somebody scrolled past your whatever it was in their timeline.
Yeah, because 0% of 6,000 is still 0.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. So I think it's very important when we talk about this marketing, you have to really have an understanding of marketing and the tools that you're using. Look at reviews, look at strategies. Don't just think because I paid for this Facebook ad or I paid $20 for this Twitter ad for 3 days that I'm going to get some type of ROI, because it could be very likely that you don't.
Could you explain what ROI is, please?
Return. Oh, I'm sorry. So I work in a nonprofit, and all we use is acronyms for everything. Like everything is an acronym. Even our day-to-days, we use acronyms. So I'm very quick to use an acronym for this. ROI is return on investment, for those of you who don't know. And it's very important that when you think about how much money you're putting out, it has to be some type of put back in, right? So don't spend $20 on a Facebook ad and nobody clicks on it. And I'm not saying you spend $20, you got to get 1,000 clicks. That's probably not likely, because then we have to have a conversation about influencer marketing, and we can have that afterwards. But throwing money at a dartboard and thinking people are going to spend money on you is ridiculous. You have to go into that eyes open. You have to understand what your strategy is, who is the target market that you're targeting. And then the tools are great because they allow you to kind of pick and choose what markets you want to use or what markets you want to target. But even that, again, like I said, you can have 20,000 views or organic views, and they're very slick with that word, organic views.
Yeah.
Right. Because organic just means somebody scrolled past you or it was there on somebody's feed. Whether they looked at it or not, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at the views, you want to look more at what is the ROI in terms of clicks and conversions. Those are the words. If you're not hearing clicks and conversions in your reviews, then you need to change that review or change that marketing tool.
So I got some anecdotal, info on that. So I've been doing Facebook ads, and one thing that I've noticed is that if I do a Facebook ad, first of all, I built up an audience on my Facebook page for my surly-ramics business over the years, right? And then all of a sudden Facebook did this thing where they created an algorithm where people no longer actually saw your page unless you promoted the posts, which was super annoying. Ooh. And it was their way of, making money. And I get it. They were like trying to build, revenue, but it really was a lousy thing to do, I think, to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So absolutely. I have I've got 8,000 or something fans on that page. And so I can post something and 3 people will see it. But if I promote it, then I'll get a whole bunch of people. Right. Right. And it's a bunch of BS. But in terms of actually making money from those posts, this is what I've learned, is if I run an ad and I target people that are fans or friends of my fans on my page, and I run I promote something that is a sale where I have a coupon code, those ads always do well for me, and I end up making more than I'm spending on the ad. I've done experiments where I've tried running ads where I target and I'm very specific, and I pick people that I think would like my jewelry. I pick people that like science. I pick certain age groups. I pick women. I get very specific in my targeting. But whenever I don't use the people who are friends of fans, I don't make any money off my ads. So it's really fascinating to me. There's sort of this, like, I don't know, I guess if people see that their friend likes something, they're more likely to click on it and to, follow through to the website. So that's just what I've noticed.
Absolutely. And this is great advice. And I'll be honest with you, I've probably spent thousands of dollars on ads, not just for my companies, but companies that I co-own and people that I've helped develop marketing. And I've done that purposely to kind of develop this marketing model. Because when you see, like, I can spend $20 on a Facebook ad, run it for 3 days, and there's no visual, you get absolutely no clicks. Yep. If you have some type of visual, you see an uptick in ticks, but it may not be, any type of conversion. So you'll get a couple clicks, no conversions. But if you do something like a sale, or if you do something where you're giving something away, or you do something where it's an opportunity for another person, you see an immediate uptick in clicks. So I think that's very good advice.
There has to be some sort of offer.
Absolutely. People don't just click for no reason. And just think about it for yourself. How often do you see promotion, like things that are labeled as promoted, and you're like, oh, this is boring. This is boring. And you just scroll right through them. So I understand it. It's human behavior. The other thing that you said, Amy, that was super great, the concept of community. And Bill, you can probably attest to this, for the trip to New York. You really have to build up a community, and it can't be a community of people, right? So if you have just a whole bunch of people who follow you, but they're not actually engaged by the things that you do, they just follow you because their friends follow you, you're not going to see an ROI on that. But if you have a bunch of people that are invested in your success, or invested in your product, or they want to see you do well, you build up that community, and you will see a crazy increase in sales, crazy increase in feedback, whatever. So that concept of community is important, but it has to be the right community.
I think that was my number 7.
Oh, it was? See? We're going to jump around this list.
It's like, be honest.
I didn't make a list today.
Be honest, be real, and be accessible. And that's how you're going to build community.
Yep.
And you have to sort of rally behind something. I think, like you're saying, Bill has an amazing example of this maker community that he's a part of, that he invited us to. And thank you to all the people from that community that have friended me on Facebook and are listening to this podcast. It's a really, really cool community of people that like to work with their hands, like to make things happen, and they just like to make. And it becomes sort of this family on the internet. And that's what you really need to tap into if you want your social media accounts to do well. You have to be available, be honest, be friendly, make friends, and actually care about the community that you're a part of.
Exactly. That's it.
Absolutely.
Because I am the outlier here. I've never spent a dime on advertising. And advertising is a part of marketing, but it is not all of marketing.
Right.
Advertising
absolutely not.
I know, but for some people in the audience, they might not know that. You two, obviously, you live and breathe this stuff every day. But for somebody like me, I'm coming at this from, I've never done any sort of business-related work in my life. This is the first time I'm doing this. So I actually, before we did this episode, I went and I did some, basic homework. And advertising is paying to put, a blurb or a placement of your copy in front of somebody else. But you're paying for it. It's not personal. Marketing is a whole strategy. It can incorporate advertising, but it also incorporates who is your target audience, how are you going to market this product to them. In other words, like what is the value? Don't tell people why you care about what you're doing. Tell them why they should care about what you're doing. Or
show them that you care about what they're doing.
Well, that's the other thing is community involvement, because like I said, I have not spent a dime on advertising. And my social media accounts are growing on their own. My YouTube channel is growing on its own. I'm not making a ton of money, but it's still very, very early. But in the meantime, I'm doing that for an investment of $0 and a lot of time.
Yeah, so don't, yeah, we just wanted to give some advice on, when you do actually spend money, but you don't have to spend money in
Right.
order to become more popular on social media. But if you're running a business, at some point, you're going to want to do some advertising. And in today's market, I think that Facebook, these places, Facebook, Google, Twitter, these are all places where a very large community goes to. And if you want to try to reach new people, I think it's in your best interest to at least experiment with some advertising for your business.
That takes me to the other part that I was talking about. So you have advertisements where you're basically paying to put your stuff in front of people. And then they have what I call, not I call because I didn't make this term up, but influencer marketing. So Bill, one of the reasons why you're being successful is because, and it's right now, it's not as big, but in the future, it's going to be huge. So like, think about it from Adam Savage, or, let's use a real big example, like one of the rappers, people follow them and they do no marketing at all. But because of their status and because of their influence, if they were to promote something, they would get automatic clicks, automatic whatever. Right. So as you grow within the maker community, right, our influence and our ability to inform people and our ability to communicate things is going to have an influence on people, which when we turn around and say, check this out, people will go to that. To me, in my mind, and I could be wrong, Amy, you could correct me, I think that is a better investment, building up your influence and, using your status or your influence to market is a lot more effective and would give you a better ROI than paying for a lot of these, whatever tools you use. Because Facebook and Twitter ads isn't the only tool. There's hundreds of thousands of things out there. There's apps out there that allow you to market. So I think it's very important that you have a healthy balance of both. And whatever works more for you, that's the one you go with. Yeah. That's the one you put more investment into. If it's time because you're doing the influencer marketing, then invest that time if it's giving you a better return. If that Facebook and Twitter ad is giving you those clicks, then put more money into it. Yeah. Right. But I think it's both of those things.
Influencer marketing is one of those terms that it gives me the chills in a bad way. And it's not because of anything that you said. It's just because it sounds like one of those buzzwords that gets tossed around in boardrooms. But what that really means for average people, I think, is this is something that cannot be faked, okay? For influencer marketing, like to build up your reputation in a community. This is a perfectly legitimate marketing strategy, and it's all that I've ever done, which is I went and found the community that I thought would be interested in my stuff, and then I hung out with them. I spent time there. I looked at their projects. What were they doing? I tried to help. I tried to add value to the conversation. David Picciuto, he's on YouTube. He also has a website, makesomething.tv. But David Picciuto just did a video about this, and he said that the key is just you have to add value. You cannot just be on brand, on message all the time saying, well, come look at my stuff, come look at my stuff, come look at my stuff, because people will tune you out. I mean, we're all sitting here rolling our eyes now.
So you know that I have this concept that I'm trying to develop, makersfile.com. It's a community where I'm trying to build up a marketing platform, marketing and promotional platform, because what I see is the future moving towards crowdfunding campaigns. That is the new economy. That's an excellent way for people to, take advantage of opportunities like you did, Bill, or, launch a product, which is something that I'm also going to do. So basically, I'm building up this community so that when I go to do the crowdfunding campaign for the robots, I already have a group ready and willing to take it. But in doing that, I thought it was very important that I test out what are some of those marketing platforms out there. And there's a lot of, different forums that when you're going through trying to do a crowdfunding campaign, there's a lot of forums out there that they want you to check out. They suggest them. A lot of marketing tools out there that they suggest. And the one thing that I noticed is people are taking for granted the fact that there's these communities out there. So let's say that there's a website called iwantacrowdfund.com. That's not a real crowdfunding forum. So if you're looking for it, you won't find it. Or maybe you will. I didn't check. But
someone's going to start it right after this podcast.
Somebody's going to start it. But let's say there's this. I should go and get that URL right now. Yeah. Somebody could buy it off me. But anyway, so let's say there's this crowdfunding community, crowdfunding forum, because most of them are forums, called iwantacrowdfund.com. And there'll be a whole bunch of people who sign up for it because the websites and all the Google searches say, go and sign up and join this community. And in that community, what you'll see is a bunch of people posting links to their crowdfunding campaigns and telling people to check them out. And that'll be the only thing that they do.
Yeah.
And they immediately leave the website, leave their link there. And people spend a lot of time thinking that I'm going to get some type of support from that. And that's part of the problem, because they're not really adding any. They think by joining this website and putting a link to their campaign that they're actually contributing to the website, that they're bringing value. But by just doing it, leaving there and then not coming back, that's not adding value. And really the community, in my mind, really suffers like that, because it makes people who are new to the crowdfunding campaign thing, or who are interested in doing some type of marketing opportunities, they go there, they see that the website is literally dead, or that people are just saying, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And really it's nothing happening after that.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about this marketing thing and you're thinking about, adding value, think about adding value in a practical way. Don't think just because I'm leaving my website here, I'm adding value, because
that's not at all what I mean by
very
adding
well
value.
Subtracting. No, I'm not saying that you are. I'm saying that's my specific example to people's.
I know, Jeff, I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I am agreeing with you. What I'm saying by add value is, if you are a maker and you are involved with a community of makers, rather than trying to sell them your stuff all the time, your first fans are probably going to be people who could make the thing that you're making themselves just as easily.
Word.
By themselves. You're like, Jeff, your first fans are probably going to be people who like robots. But if they like robots, it might be because they already build robots. They don't need to go buy your robot. Amy, your first fans may have been, now I don't know this for sure because it's been a while. You've been doing this for a long time and I wasn't there when you started. But I'm sure you had some early fans who were other ceramics artists or other...
I still do. I have some really great fans that make stuff that's very similar to the stuff that I make. Yeah.
And those people will be your like lifelong diehard fans.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because so often people have this instinct to like be in, I think I've mentioned this before, but to be in competition with someone that's making something that's similar to you, and don't do that. Be friends. Like, work off each other, help each other, give each other advice. It makes the whole community better that way.
Right. And so what ends up happening is, even if those people never buy anything from you, they will help promote your stuff. They will help raise your profile and the profile of other people like you, which will increase everybody's potential market. So if you make woodworking stuff and you are friends with a whole bunch of other people who make woodworking stuff, when you do something cool, they will tell all of their friends about it.
Yeah.
So the thing that Jeff keeps alluding to, which I don't think I've actually said on the air yet, is my trip to World Maker Faire is made possible by the community. Because I'm working on this book about Jimmy DiResta, and Jimmy's based out of New York. And I kept thinking, I really need to go to New York. I need to spend time in his workshop. I need to see what his life is like. I need to sit in on one of his classes, because he teaches at the college that he went to. He teaches a class on like practical 3D design techniques. So I really need to witness all of that stuff in order for this book to be the best possible thing. But right now, I don't have a paycheck coming in, So what I did was I created a crowdfunding campaign, and I said, listen, this is what I want to do. This is how it's going to benefit you, because it's going to let me write this book better. Okay, this is how much I need, and like this is what I'm going to do with it. And I spelled all of this stuff out. And I've been a part of this community for 6-7 months, maybe 8 at this point. And what happened was I was only asking for $600, which is not a lot. Okay, but it was enough to get me a plane ticket and like eat some pizza while I'm there. I have a friend I can stay with. I kept it cheap. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew exactly what value they were getting. In return for $600, you're going to get a better book. And what happened was I hit that goal inside of a day, and it is still going. If it gets to $1,000, by the way, I'm turning it off because I don't need that much money, and I wouldn't know what to do with it.
That's a great community.
You can buy more pizza. You can buy more pizza.
You can buy us pizza if we make it to make it.
Buy us pizza, yes.
But I guess none of those people have ever, I mean, a few of them have bought like T-shirts and vinyl stickers, but for the most part, these are people who I've never met, who I've only interacted with on Facebook through this group of other makers, or on Twitter or on Instagram.
Can we say the name of the group, or is it a closed group?
It's a closed group, but you can apply to get in. It's run by Andrew Aragon, and it's called I Like to Make Stuff. There is actually a YouTube channel called I Like to Make Stuff. They are not related, although Bob, who runs the YouTube channel, is a member of the group.
Yeah, it's a cool group.
Yeah.
Lots of
Excellent group.
woodworking going on in that group.
There's lots of woodworking, but there's lots of other stuff too. But this group,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of Jimmy DiResta fans, which helps. But when I talked about what I was doing and what I needed to do to make it happen, people just came to my support and said, this is awesome. We want it to happen. Go for it.
Yeah.
That kind of support, that kind of community, you can't fake that. You can't advertise your way into that. Okay, that's like my one piece of advice.
One
for people.
post that.
Yeah,
you can't drop a link in that
Right.
and make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is you can't just put up a crowdfunding. A lot of like traditional marketing people at companies see Kickstarter and Indiegogo and like other crowdfunding sites as this like magic money box where they put up a thing and money comes out. And that's not how it works. What happens is you need and Jeff, you've talked about this before. I'm not sure if we talked about it on the air, but you need your community in place. You need to be pretty sure it's going to succeed before you start, before you ever post it.
Absolutely.
So what happened was
it's like real estate.
Yeah. I was pretty sure
Just like real estate.
we were going to be able to pull this off before I put up the page. I was shocked at how fast it happened. But at the same time, like I knew my community, I knew who I was going to talk to. And that is because I've been sitting and talking to these people for 6 months. And, not always about something that I'm trying to sell them. In fact, very rarely about something I'm trying to sell them. So that is the kind of thing that you can't fake. But that kind of organic support, that kind of community support is something that you get from just being a real person and just, interacting with other real people.
Yeah, so once again, let me reiterate number 7 on Amy's list, which is be honest, be real, and be accessible.
Yeah.
And be interesting, if you can.
Yes, and being
And
interesting
that nullifies
means
3 through 6.
being interesting means you don't just talk about yourself and then leave when anybody's talking about somebody else.
You guys, number 6 was literally don't be annoying.
I feel like those are the 2 most important. Like,
Yeah, don't be annoying. And if
Those
it's a
should've been 1 and
business
2.
account, don't complain. If it's a personal account, only complain about things that people can relate to.
very true.
On my Instagram, I will post like workshop frustrations. Like I broke a screwdriver bit for my impact driver this morning. And I was like, well, that's one way to start the day. Okay.
Yeah, that stuff's fun.
Yeah.
People love failure. Like one time I accidentally overfired my kiln by like at least 1,000 degrees and it melted everything.
That's a big shot.
It melted
That's a big
everything.
shot.
It destroyed like the mechanism where the pin drops that turns it off, and so I had to rebuild that whole part. But yeah, that was fun. People loved that story. I love that story because
Well,
it was
it's a
like,
fun story.
yeah, I didn't burn down the house, but like melted everything, like literally liquefied all of the things that were in the kiln. It was fantastic.
That's
So
hilarious.
you can complain about that stuff and then explain how you rebuilt your kiln afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got
I
one
think that's
final
very
tip on
important.
social media. One final, like, nitty-gritty tip that I've learned from experience and from talking to people is on Twitter, you want to post in the morning and in the evening to get the most eyes on your post. Like when people are first getting to work on the East Coast and when people are getting off work and having a drink. So that's a great time. That's when people are usually just chilling out, relaxing, checking their social media. Facebook, on the other hand, is really good in the afternoons. People, when they're at work and they're bored late in the afternoon, they tend to check Facebook then more often. So
Yep.
there's a slight discrepancy in those 2 different, medias as to where to post and what time, but I find that's really good. And on Twitter, especially if you have a large following, don't be afraid to post the same thing twice. People use the in case you missed it earlier tags. So if you post something in the morning, you can post it again in the evening because often it's 2 different crowds. So those are some good tips
Absolutely.
on just the nitty gritty
I
of
think that's
posting on
probably the
social media.
best tip ever. Like, you really have to know how to use those, because you could post something and get no views, no nothing, and it's all because you did it at the wrong time.
Yeah, post on Twitter in the middle of the afternoon, and you could like just have given birth to triplets, and no one will even know. You
Nobody
gotta
would.
make sure no one will even know.
Yeah.
You gotta post at the right time. I mean,
Yeah,
I happen
so-
to post a lot on Twitter all day because I love Twitter, but
But yeah,
Those are the
just
best times.
whatever platform you're on, just be aware. Don't post things without regard for the time, And that's just no matter what platform you're using.
Can I please here's one final bit of advice. This drives me up a wall.
Okay.
Okay, like scheduling tweets is really great, but don't do it like all the time. And be aware if you have scheduled tweets, if there is a national disaster, because there's nothing worse than finding out that 30 people just got shot down the street and you have scheduled some cute tweet about, I don't know what, your business or you're trying to make money or something, but it makes your account seem really extremely inconsiderate and insincere. So if you have scheduled tweets, just be aware of what's happening in the world, because especially right now, it's a very volatile time. So just sort of try to keep an eye on the news so that you're not that person that is being really inappropriate.
And this goes back to, be real, be honest, be a person. Because if one slips through, just say, I'm sorry, it was scheduled. I hadn't checked the news yet. Yeah, my bad. And people will forgive you if you're a real person.
Yeah.
So we actually have a question. We got a question from Pat Lapp. And Pat Lapp wants to know, it's almost impossible, but what would you do to promote yourself if one day the internet disappeared? Or how do you promote yourself without social media?
Hi, Pat. Pat's my new Facebook friend. He just friended me on Facebook. And I thought it'd be really great to be Pat's friend because he posts a lot in French. So I could just guess what he was saying. So it's going to be like a fun game for me.
It's going to be a lot about poutine.
Yeah, well, hey, Pat, what's up? So to answer Pat's question, from my perspective, is just go back in time and look at what people did before the internet. You can get on your horse or your donkey and you can travel across the land and promote your goods or out of the back of your pickup truck. But honestly, if you're not going to use social media, you got to go back to the old school way, which is something that I do anyway. I also promote on social media, but I travel like a traveling salesman or a saleswoman or salesperson. And I go to different events and I shake hands with people and I meet people, and that's how I met Bill. And I mean, you just got to put yourself out there. That's how you build a community that knows what you're selling or what you're doing. And you can do that without the internet.
Yeah.
Although I don't think that you should.
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult, but I mean, it's all about community, and it always has been. And you can build a community in person by shaking people's hands, or you can build a community online on social media. It's just, if you build it online, it'll probably get larger faster because you're not limited to how far you can walk and how many hands you can shake.
You could also open a storefront, which is something that I did when I first started out, and I will probably never do again. But it's a possibility.
Please don't do that for a while.
Yeah,
wait on
terrible.
that one.
Yeah.
Wait on that one. I would say do it the way we used to do it back in the day when we were trying to sell CDs, man. Back before iPods and back when music was people still listen to CDs. We used to have, and I say we as in me, because I used to rap back in the day, but we used to have CDs, and literally we were giving them out.
You just walk the streets.
And it was hard work. Oh my goodness, it was hard. But everybody in the neighborhood knew the songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they shared the songs with their friends. And I mean, it takes longer. It's a lot more work. But like you said earlier, go back to the way we used to do it.
We were alive before the internet, or at least I was.
Absolutely.
I was alive before it became a big deal. So yeah, I remember the Sunset Strip in the late 80s, early 90s. That's how you communicated. That's how bands got famous. That's how clothing lines got famous. They would go to the clubs at night and they would walk the streets wherever it was most popular, and you would hand out T-shirts and you would hand out flyers and you would hand out CDs, and you'd make people listen to your music on the street, and that's how you got people interested. Yep. Yeah, so you can still do that, and you can incorporate that sort of old school marketing with the internet now.
I think we should start wrapping it up for this week. I mean, this has been a really good discussion, and I don't want to stop, but it's starting to get a little long. So
I have a shout out in terms of media that we're consuming, if we're going to do that.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing recommendations, and Amy gets to go first.
Okay, cool. So Dr. Joel Graf sent me a message. Super cool. He had heard that I was interested in CRISPR technology, which I think is something that I may have talked about on the very first episode or maybe the second episode. But it's about how you can take bacteria and use bacteria to insert and remove parts of the genome so that you can put information in there and literally cure people or change the way DNA messaging builds body parts. It's really, really fascinating stuff, and it's sort of the forefront of cellular science and technology right now. It's literally, it's like ultimate making. I mean, you're like going into the genes and reprogramming them, and it's a new way of doing it that's way more cost effective than the ways that they were using in the past, and it's also much faster. And Dr. Joel Graf has created a series of 4 videos on YouTube. They're very short. They're about 10 minutes each, where he really does a great job of explaining it much better than I can from a scientist point of view, but he teaches it in layman's terms, and he does little drawings on a chalkboard and makes it really easy to understand what's actually happening and what CRISPR technology is. So if you're a science nerd like me and you'd like to learn more about it, we will put the link in the show notes, and you can check out his videos. And thanks so much, Joel, for sending me those links. I really enjoyed them.
Cool. Jeff, what about you?
I mean, I haven't really consumed anything special. I've still been watching the videos on home improvement. I'm learning how to most effectively use a sprayer, a paint sprayer, because I'm done using brushes.
Yeah.
I'm not using the brush ever again. And
brushes
the
are the
paint
worst.
sprayer looks so cool. There's 2 kinds. You have the compressor one and you have the electric one. And I'm trying to figure out which one I'm gonna spend money on.
HVLP. You want HVLP?
Yeah.
That's what you want.
All right, so I'm gonna go with. All right,
We'll
so I'm
talk
gonna go
about
with that one.
We'll talk about that later, but that's what you want.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. So, I mean, that's really what I've been focused on. A couple of different things. The first thing I want to do. So right now, my workshop, if you want to call it a workshop, air quote workshop, is in my living room. Mm-hmm. My wife hates it, and she hates like when I'm working on stuff. I have robots all over the room. I need a workshop. So what I'm thinking about doing is either purchasing or making, whatever's cheaper, a shed and putting it in the backyard and turning that into a workshop. Because here in New York, I'd be lucky if I get a spot with a garage. But if I get a spot with a garage, I'm putting a car in it. So
yeah,
no 1-car workshop for me.
No.
Well, it'll really be a 1-car workshop for me. Or it'll just be a 1-car garage. Either way it goes.
How dare you? Yeah. How dare you be on this podcast and use your garage as a garage?
As a garage, right? Well, I'll just build a shed. So that's what so I've been watching a lot of how to make a shed videos. And it's not difficult. I've actually built a house before. I went to school for house building. So the fundamentals are exactly the same. And so basically I feel like I can do that. So I'm either going to buy the parts or build it from scratch and go and get the thing. It's probably cheaper to build it from scratch. But I'm so excited to do the interior of that sucker, boy. I got a lot of great ideas. I'm gonna have the drop down electric outlets. I'm going all the way, baby.
Nice.
Very
nice.
I'm going all the way.
So my recommendation for this week is there is another podcast. I've mentioned it before. It's called MakerCast. And the host, his name is John, and he interviews a different maker every week. Some of them work in CNC machining. Some of them are woodworkers. Some of them make chocolate. One makes custom baseball gloves. There was a bespoke tailor. But he is gearing up right now for what he's calling the MakerCast giveaway. And he has asked a whole bunch of his past guests to contribute an item or items to give away in this one big box. And it's all going to go to one winner. So they're going to get stuff from Mark Spagnolo, the Wood Whisperer. They're going to get stuff from Jimmy DiResta. They're going to get stuff from Laura Kampf and a whole bunch of other YouTube makers. It looks like the prizes are incredible. So if you don't already listen to MakerCast, that is my recommendation for the week. It has a lot of stories from other makers. If making stuff is something you're interested in and you want to hear how other people got started, besides the 3 of us, that is a good thing to listen to. I think that's it for this week. So let's talk about where people can find us. Jeff, where can people find you on your empty social media accounts?
They're not empty anymore.
Oh.
Yes, they are. But I'm always active on Facebook. You can find me. My man Pat Lapp found me on Facebook. Shout out. Me and him had a little short, brief conversation. But I'm always active on Facebook. Facebook more_4. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram more_4. Websites for the robots is animechproject.com. That's ANIMECHPROJECT.
What were we saying about names?
What was I saying about names earlier?
You know why I messed up? Because people always pronounce it wrong. They say anime, like the cartoon. I'm like, sort of, kind of, not really. So I had to make sure I didn't mess that up. So animecproject.com. You can check out some of the stuff. I'm about to put some of the pictures up from this past week when I was teaching the classes with the kids. So I'm going to put some of those up. So new stuff coming.
Cool. Amy, what about you?
So if you want to find me, go check out my Patreon, you guys. I'm doing some really cool science illustrations. Just this week, I did a whole thing on sage and the different chemical compounds that are in sage, the plant. And there's a lot of variations on sage, and it's fascinating. And those are public posts you can check out. It's patreon.com/surly-amy. And do you want to, you could pledge maybe $1 and help me out a lot. You can find me on Twitter at surly-amy. And like I said before, pretty much everywhere at surly-amy and surly-ramics.com.
All right, and you can find me at One Car Workshop on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So that's it for this week. If you're listening to the show on iTunes, please take a moment to leave us a rating and tell us what you think. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Makers Hustle. If you want to ask a question, give feedback, or suggest a show topic, send email to info@makershustlepodcast.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and remember, the hustle never stops. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
That's it. We're out.